In this video today, we're going to talk about 3 things everyone in the music industry needs to know about. What are those things? Well, I'm glad you asked. The first one is, what is TikTok doing that is changing up the music industry and could be the future of the music industry? Number 2, how can artists land on a Spotify playlist? And number 3, how can you grow a Spotify playlist? Little tip, TikTok has something to do with it. Today, my guest is a part-time employee for Warner Music while being a full-time student at the University of Michigan and has a huge passion for music. Across his 11 playlists, he's currently at 60,000 followers, with his largest playlist coming in at just over 21,000 followers. That's something any artist would love to be a part of. This is my friendly chat with Ari Elkins, Mr. TikTok himself. Why? Because he's currently at 168,000 followers on TikTok after just starting in December of 2019. You have to hear what this guy has to say. Speak to the audience of artists. What is it like to be a Spotify curator?
So as a Spotify curator, what I'm really looking for is I come up with a title for the playlist, and that's where I start. So for instance, my biggest playlist right now is called Great Vibes on Spotify. And so when I created that playlist, I was thinking about giving off a great vibe. And so what does a great vibe mean? So first I started breaking that down and thinking a little bit about high energy, but also there's a little chillness to a vibe per se. So when I'm looking for music, I'm looking for songs that fit in that title. And so I'm going off of these words, which is good vibes, great vibes, chill, energy, but low key, lo-fi a bit. So just looking for music that fits that term. And then in terms of finding the actual music, I'm doing a deep dive into Spotify. So finding artists that I already know, and then from there going to their similar artists, searching up keywords, whether that's summer hits, summer chill, even great vibes or stuff like that. And then just trying to find as much music around that. And once I find something that I will look at that artist page and find other songs that they've made to maybe include 2 or 3 off of that.
The most interesting part in the midst of all of that you said keywords in Spotify, like summer vibe, summer chill. Where do you think, are you finding that based upon other playlists that are then putting songs in that playlist? Or song titles that have something like that in it?
It's a little bit of both. So definitely when I'm making my own playlist, I look at other people who are doing similar things or have similar playlist ideas to kind of piggyback off of them and go off of that and find stuff. And then I'm also looking for title names and whatnot. So whether that's chill, summer. And what I've found is most of the time when I'm looking for a title name, I'll find the summer song that this artist has, but I won't necessarily put in the summer song. I'll look at that artist that has a song called Summer and then find a different song that I like even more than the one called Summer. But definitely I definitely look at title names, which is random. Who would think about that? But yeah.
You got a considerable amount of playlists and a lot of them have great traction on them. What is your update rate of those playlists?
I'd say it really depends in terms of updating them. The ones that have higher traction, I try and update those more regularly. And then the ones that don't do as well, it's harder for me to sit down and put the time when there aren't as many people listening. But in terms of creating them, how I started making the playlist was on TikTok. I was making these videos of mini playlist videos on TikTok. And so I would put a list of 8 different songs that people liked under Great Vibes in a TikTok video. And then people were I love this music. Can you make a playlist for it? From there, I started transferring the songs from TikTok into playlists and then expanding the playlist on Spotify even beyond the TikToks.
I like that. And I know that we were going to get to talking about TikTok. So you kind of made these little mini playlists videos on TikTok first, and then you found out that there was a demand and people were watching that on TikTok, which then led you to create the playlist actually on Spotify.
Exactly.
Cool. That's cool. So what would be your recommendation for artists then to get playlisted?
So on all my playlists, I make sure that I tag my Instagram in the title. So, and why I do that is so that I'm hoping that artists can message me on Instagram and send me music. And I always tell artists, I have artist friends and whatnot, always reach out to the people that are doing the playlists, because I've found a lot of really cool music on my playlist from people just DMing me on Instagram or sending me an email or whatnot saying like, check this out. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I'm not like crazy about the song and I don't put it in, but I'd say a good number of times I've put in songs from just people reaching out.
I mean, that's how I found you. I was creating a playlist for a late night drive, and I found your playlist. It was the only other playlist by that name. And then sure enough, like you had your easily like discoverable. I'm like, oh, it's a person's name. This should be pretty easy to find on Instagram. And sure enough, you even had the same cover art. And so you made it kind of like really easy for people to hit you up. I love that you're responding to those people and you're making it really easy for them to like, hey, send it over. If I like it, I'll do something with it. If I don't, I don't. Like,
exactly. No harm, no foul.
The ease that it is for artists to take the time to do exactly what I did. I came up with a vibe. I found a playlist that happened to be on there. It happened to be yours. I sent you a DM and it led to a lot of conversation and found out a little bit more of your background and we're going to get into this, people that are watching right now, that you started working with Warner Music, right? And so what an amazing opportunity is for independent artists that they have this ability to get essentially like on radio, which are what playlists are nowadays.
Exactly.
It's so much harder for them back in the day when it was just like radio stations, right?
Exactly. And there's so many different playlists out there. So even if like one person doesn't respond to you, you can send the same copy paste the same thing to 15 different people that are making playlists, and you're bound to at least get a couple of those, and that will help your music tremendously.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What is your motivation to creating these playlists and to updating them and nurturing this? Is it just pure passion for music? What leads you to do this work?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. It's like a passion
it's work.
Yeah,
right?
It is a lot of time.
Work.
It's a passion for music, and it's also just I'm really into like discovering new things and discovering new artists, and I find that like through the playlist I'm able to find new music for myself even. So just like creating these playlists, I'm finding new artists that I've never heard of before, either through my own hard work of like going into Spotify and finding them, or people reaching out to me. And I've always been interested in finding new music. So yeah.
Yeah, same. And I think just with one of the posts that I saw from yours on Instagram, I saw that we had that connection in that sense that I just like discovering music, and I was already putting in a lot of the work for myself anyways. So the ability that we have to make these playlists and get other people to follow and listen and kind of like introduce people to new music is just super fun, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's so cool when you like know of an artist before everybody else does, and then in 3 years that artist is at the top of the charts, and you're like, yeah, I knew about
and
that.
And you kind of have the proof.
Exactly.
Right?
And
you kind of have the proof. Like, you're like, I posted about this artist. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Let's go to like passion about music. What's your earliest music memory moment that kind of like made you get this passion for music?
Yeah, so I grew up with a dad who's a jazz pianist, not professionally, but he like has been playing jazz piano ever since I was little. So my earliest memory was probably when I was like 4 or 5, sitting on my dad's lap as he was like at the piano playing a Miles Davis song. And I remember like it vividly, which is crazy since I was so young, but just like hearing him jam out to Miles Davis. And then at the time I had like a little like Toys R Us guitar that like was out of tune and barely worked, and just like strumming out to it without any like not knowing chords or anything, but just trying to like jam out with him. And then from there I started learning guitar when I was 9, played guitar for a while, then went to saxophone, and now doing more like music business and curations type of stuff.
So your earliest music was jazz music, Miles Davis. Like that's
exactly
pretty clean right there. That's some high quality stuff.
Dude, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah. So now you said music business, more into music business. Let's go into talking about that. You have or currently still are carrying a part-time job with Warner Music. Tell us about, where you're at in college, what took you down that path.
Yeah, so I'm currently going into my junior year at the University of Michigan, and Warner Music has this really cool program called Warner Music U. And basically how it works is they employ college students as part-time employees. to work on campus to promote Warner's different artists and Warner shows that are coming in the area. So a friend of mine did it a couple years ago when he was in college and then graduated out and contacted me and told me about this position. And then I applied, went through a whole interview process, and then ended up getting the position, which has just been an incredible experience.
Sweet. So other people that will probably be starting college soon, if they're hearing some of they might connect with you on some of those similarities and passion for music and stuff like that. How would they go about, how did you apply?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. You just go on the Warner Music U website, and there's just an application. And I think the application is every fall and like winter before the spring semester. And they're looking for college students that go to like universities in like bigger cities, I'd say, or around bigger cities, so that when an artist is on tour, you could actually like go to the show nearby. So for me, I'm going to a bunch of shows in Detroit that Warner artists are going to, or occasionally in Ann Arbor as well.
What are some shows that you've been to because of this?
I've been to so many cool shows. So I went to this artist called Floor, which is like an indie. It's 4 guys, like indie, really cool. I'd check them out. And then I went to like bigger names as well. I've been to Roddy Ricch, went to the Roddy Ricch tour. And then from 5 Seconds of Summer, Ally Brooke did a tour, went to her show. Who else? Done like random stuff as well. Yeah, it got kind of cut short given coronavirus and whatnot. I was supposed to go to a bunch more. So hopefully soon I'll be out there going to more shows.
How long have you been doing this? When did you apply? Like, how long have you been in their program?
Applied in November of 2019 and started in January. So I'm pretty fresh to the game. I've only been doing it maybe 5 or 6 months. And then I have the summer off since we're not in school, so I'm not working during the summer. But we'll start back up again in September.
But you still went to that many shows in such a short period of time. So there was considerable amount of shows coming through the area from Warner artists that you went. And then when you go, are you going as a media pass? Are you doing some reporting work there as well? What does all that look like?
Yes. So I'm working off of like the Warner Music U Instagram or the like general Warner Instagram, doing kind of like a vlog almost of showing people like what the experience is like, whether that's like the VIP experience or just the show in general, and trying to get people on campus to know about the show in advance as well, to try and get them to come with me. And then when there aren't shows, I'm also doing like social media marketing on my own platforms for different Warner releases, for different like albums that are dropping or whatnot.
That's cool. That's cool. And so you're in your junior year now. Well, you're about to start your senior year, right?
No, I'm about to start my junior year.
You're about to start your junior year.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not majoring in music business.
No, so I'm majoring in political science, which is completely different. Just because I'm interested in politics, I'm definitely not going into politics, but it was just something that I'm interested in. And at Michigan, they don't really have like a music business major. But what we do have is a music business minor. So I'm minoring in what they call performance arts management and entrepreneurship. So, yeah.
And aren't you out in California? Is it home for you, California?
Yeah. So I live in LA, but I go to Michigan.
What took you from LA, like the music center hub of the world almost, and you're like out in Michigan?
Yeah. Well, for me, I grew up in LA my whole life, so I really wanted a new experience. I wanted to try something new. I know, like, I've known since I was younger, I'm going to be in LA my whole life. I'm planning on moving back here after school, obviously, since everything music is pretty much here. But I wanted a new experience. I wanted the, like, tailgate, football, all the stuff that you don't really have in LA.
Gotcha. And so, lastly, maybe like what are some, well, we didn't talk about TikTok enough. Let's go back to TikTok.
Yeah.
You said, hey, check out my TikTok. I was super impressed. You're like 126, 128,000 followers there on TikTok. I love the type of videos that you're making on there, kind of playlists. As a curator myself, I've been scratching my head at how I could create music curation content specifically for TikTok. And so you've greatly inspired me. I've taken some, look at what you're doing and trying to see what I can do to kind of like make it my own, but definitely within that same kind of like playlist creation on TikTok vibe. I think you're doing a killer job. But with the amount of time that you've spent on TikTok, what have you been learning from like just the music industry, what TikTok is doing, and what maybe artists should be doing on TikTok?
Yeah, so first to just start off, I think every artist should start on TikTok and start just posting videos, whatever it is. Because TikTok's really weird in the sense that something random that you post has a chance to blow up. And you don't need any followers. Because of how like the For You page works, there's an algorithm in TikTok that if people like what you're doing, they're just going to send it out to like 100 more people. And then if those 100 people like it, they'll send it out to 1,000 people and whatnot. So I started on TikTok, and I think when I had like 2,000 followers, I made this fraternity playlist of like songs that will take you straight to your frat basement. And I had 2,000 followers, and the video got 1.6 million views. So little, yeah, exactly. So like you can have no following on TikTok, and then if you come up with a great idea or whatnot, you can blow up very quickly. It's the best way to get your name out there right now, in my opinion.
How many followers did you think that grew you from 2,000 to how many after that video blew up?
After that video, I was probably at 20,000. And now, wow. And that was the end of August. I think I posted that like the last week of April, sorry. And so now
April of this year?
Yeah, April of this year. And so now it's like towards the end of June, and I'm at 160,000. So it's crazy how fast you can grow on that.
So like in March, you still only had like 2,000 followers. Roughly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That is crazy growth.
Last 2 weeks ago, I was at 100,000, and I'm at 160 right now. So it's crazy how fast you can grow. Yeah, I'm at 160 now. I think when we were talking, I was
talking to you last week, you were like 130.
Yeah, exactly. So it's crazy how fast you can grow. And what I've also seen is, being that so much of TikTok is about like the music that you use in your posts, there's so many artists that are blowing up from just popular creators using their songs in their posts and then blowing up and getting millions of streams on Spotify or whatnot. And then in terms of like radio, I think that like radio is slowly dying out since people are just like on Spotify and whatnot. But even today, like if you turn on the radio, especially in LA, like if you turn on one of the like mainstream pop radio, all the songs that you're hearing on radio now are like songs that have blown up on TikTok. So it's crazy how much like TikTok is just influencing the music industry. And I think it's going to continue to influence the music industry and go even beyond what we can even fathom right now.
I mean, it seems to be working great for you, making these playlist videos on TikTok. Are you going to experiment? Are you coming up with any ideas, experimenting with anything else?
Yeah, I've just started this like new series that I call like Artists of the Day. And I'm trying to post a new artist every day. And basically it's like a 15-second clip where I have an artist's like song in the background. And then it's just me like talking about the artist, like their name, where they're from, what type of music it is. And then recommending like 3 or 4 songs that you should check out by that artist with the artist song playing in the background, which has been really cool. I did an artist called Boy Pablo a couple weeks ago that a lot of people seem to like. I did Surfaces yesterday. Not sure what I'm doing today yet, but it will be interesting.
See, that's really interesting because that's how I kind of started on Instagram like 7 years ago, where I just was taking a screenshot of an album cover and just posting that to begin with. And back in the day, like there was a point in time where I was growing, 100 followers a month on Instagram just from I wasn't even making anything myself. It was just a cover of an album, and people were like, I was just new music daily and promoting one song daily. So I love what you're doing. And, I just want to I'm documenting this moment and giving you props for helping me come up with ideas of how I can get over onto TikTok, because I've been so frustrated. I know what TikTok's about, but I just was like at a brain freeze of like, how can I make videos on TikTok doing what I love and showing people new music? So hats off to you, man. Thank you for the inspiration on that. Keep killing it. So maybe what are 5 artists? So we're going to have this documented moment that, you know, Ari's looking at and like, dude, these artists, you might not know who they are now, but like, I'm telling you, these guys have great potential.
So there's this one band called Playard that one of my
What is
friends
it?
is actually in it. It's called Playard. I think what they're doing is great. It's like kind of like surfy indie vibe. Playard, Playyyard. And it's like
Okay.
surfy vibe, but they've been putting out a lot of stuff. They've been collabing with a bunch of like really cool singer-songwriter types, putting out really cool stuff, which has been cool. On top of that, Colony House, if you've heard of them, they like put out some stuff.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, a couple years ago and haven't been doing much, but I think I heard they're putting out a new album really soon, so I'm excited for that. I mean, Surfaces is already really big, but I think they're just gonna keep doing great things. They just came out with the new song with Elton John last week, which is incredible. Who else? Yeah, those are like off the top of my head. I can like pull up my library and see.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
But now you took me somewhere else again. 2 things. Your opinion on albums in this day and age. Because you said Colony House is going to be releasing an album soon that you're excited about. What are your thoughts on albums? I have very strong opinions about, not necessarily about an album, but how people distribute albums. So maybe you can share your insight.
Yeah, I think to some extent albums are like a thing of the past to some extent, because I think people are just listening to like the songs that they like. So people are listening, instead of listening to an album, you're going to listen to a playlist of songs that are similar to that one song on the album that you enjoy. But I think albums are exciting when you love an artist, when you're really following an artist and have like a great appreciation for an artist and want to listen to just their music. I think it's cool to listen to an album, especially when you're listening to an album from like the first song till the end. Because not all artists, but I think most of the artists think about like song order and placement in their albums. So kind of like hearing a little like story from like the first song till the end, I think is always something interesting and cool.
I think that just about covers it. If there's anything other thing that you want to touch on, highlight, make a prediction about.
No, I think TikTok is like really the future of social media and the music industry in general. I think we're going to see more bands getting put on TikTok, more artists that have songs blow up on TikTok will start to be the artists that we're hearing in mainstream media and whatnot. So yeah, so I guess what I would say is to all the artists out there, definitely try and get on TikTok, try and start promoting your stuff on TikTok, create content that maybe isn't even related to your music on TikTok, but people find your content on TikTok and then that takes them to your music at some point.
That's great. Great advice. Great advice. Man, it was a pleasure. Let's keep in touch. Let's share music with each other.
Have a good one.
Much love, man. Take care.
Peace.